And of course, what you're seeing there is live feeds from Lagos State, the swearing-in ceremony of the Lagos State Governor, that's in person of Babajide Sanwo-Olu for his second term in office. I mean, live pictures there. I mean, you're seeing on News Central Television. Before that, we also kept you up to speed with live feeds from Eagle Square, Abuja, the capital of Nigeria, where Nigeria right now is experiencing a new political dawn, as it, of course, has a new president in person of Bola Tinubu. Welcome once again if you're just joining in. My name is Dakbo Adigboye.
And I'm Rita Omodia. Welcome to our special broadcast. We've been having this broadcast since 9 a.m. And just like Dakwa rightly said, a new president, a new dawn, or what the APC will call renewed hope, has begun again with President Bola Tinubu. It's taking me some time, you know. Yeah, I had to I stumbled in my mind because I was like, okay, President Muhammadu Buhari, but I'm like, okay, no. We're done with that era. Now we have Bola Tinubu with lots of things that we are hoping for. We're still waiting for his inaugural speech. We've seen lots of pomp and pageantry, the parade. We've also seen from the state governors. We have about 28 governors who will be sworn in today, 10 returning governors. We also have about 16 APC governors who were re-elected into positions today. So we're going to see lots of expectations. We're going to be reviewing lots of their landmark achievements. For example, we saw the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, talked about infrastructure, building the Lagos mega city, and also appreciating his predecessor, Kewumi Ambode, and also praising Muhammadu Buhari and the present president, that is Bola Tinubu. But the question is, for Lagos State and for Nigeria, I mean, there will be lots of expectations for this present government. Well,
a lot of expectations, particularly at the federal level in Nigeria. We know that the outgoing administration, well, some have said, in terms of performance, there are certain gray areas, right? Of course, you might want to give them a pass mark in the area of infrastructure. That's the outgoing administration, or the outgone administration, as I would put it, you know, did perform in terms of infrastructure. But in terms of the economy overall, even as at last week, you know, they still borrowed funds. So there's a lot when it comes to achieving so much for the new administration right now. Talking about the administration of Bola Tinubu, the expectations are high, right? Particularly when it comes to the economy, when it comes to security, key notable areas that affect people. And I mean, in terms of the promise of the administration saying that, don't worry, Nigerians, we are coming with renewed hope. So we are hoping to see, maybe in the coming weeks or years, how they're able to deliver on this particular issue. Also, another outstanding issue has to be with pending cases in court as regards the just concluded elections. There are also issues, too, to be addressed, because we know that the tribunal is still on. And some are still saying, maybe it might just be too early to start, you know, celebrating. Why not wait till the end of you know, the verdict of the tribunal? But some are saying, irrespective, it's a new dawn in Nigeria anyway. The celebration, you know, should continue. It's also important to mention that other African presidents, some African presidents, are currently in Nigeria to witness this inauguration. You know, we have the president of I'm trying to remember that country, Kenya. Yes, we have that of Kenya. We have the president of Rwanda, and, you know, quite a number of them. It is, of course, a very, very eventful one. We still have our guest with us this morning.
Yes, we have our guest with us. They've been with us for a very long time. You're looking at the presidential inauguration of course states who are coming in. We have with us Segun Shokpitong, is a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for staying with us on this special broadcast. We also have Dr. Omoshola Deji, is a political scientist also. So I'm sure you've definitely been discussing a lot of political stories or areas, angles to this discussion. Thank you so much for joining us on this special broadcast. And I'm going to begin with you, Segun Shokpitong. You know, when he was talking about renewed hope for the APC, I think generally that's what we're going with, renewed hope. When we say renewed hope, which means that they brought hope before in the past administration. Let's start with Lagos State now. We just heard the governor talk about so many things he has done, especially infrastructure, which he mentioned on. So for you, you're a Lagosian, so I don't think we have to go too far. Something that we're seeing today. What are the landmark achievements for Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu?
Look, I don't like mincing words. And I think that if you want to look at the achievements of any administration, you've got to look at it from two angles. resources available to them, what they've done with those resources. So it's very easy for anybody to say, oh, we built, like he was saying, was pointing to Eco-Atlantic City. I'm sure he also mentioned the Lekki Free Trade Zone. There's been a few infrastructure-related projects, and you have to commend this administration for that, and maybe even Tinubu for envisioning those things. However, and it's a huge however, you have to look at the boasts of the current president now, President Bola Tinubu, of having ramped up the IGR generating capacity of Lagos State from a very paltry amount when he came on board to 50 billion naira per month, as of today. And ask the question, have we derived commensurate value in terms of infrastructure and development? And those are two very different things. So, if you ask me what has their major achievements been, yes, we've seen some paparazzi stuff, but look, I always say that Lagos is a tale of two cities. So if you live in Alausa, you live in Ikeja, you live in Ikoyi, you live in VI, Lekki, maybe some parts of Apapa, you have one Lagos. Please go to Ilaje, Bariga, right? Go to Ajegunle, Apapa. That I can begin to mention hinterlands in Lagos that are an eyesore, a shame. That I, as somebody who has lived in Lagos for 30 years, live side by side with people that live in that type of penury and poverty in the same Lagos. So I haven't seen the use of the resources available to Lagos deployed to lift Nigerians living in Lagos out of poverty and improve the quality of their lives. Okay, it's just not there.
Okay, but again, one would say that in many megacities, as much as you would have, this external outlook of development, there would also be areas or pockets of where you still have underdevelopment, even Dubai,
Absolutely.
right? But is that enough reason to say that maybe these resources are not being efficiently utilized?
So first of all, you're right. So take Mumbai as an example. There's a sprawling slum in India, in the Indian capital, and yet India is de facto the third most powerful country in the world today. Biggest GDP, the military might, and all of that. Take the United States of America. There are certain parts of New York that you just don't want to visit, at night especially. You get mugged. So those are realities, I agree with you. However, when you come back home and you look at the lack of information, and I think for me that's it. I'm a good governance advocate, and I'm an advocate of public accountability. The resources that we have in Lagos, if you take any one of those projects, the bridges that, for example, that Governor Ambode built, Abule Egba, Lekki, about 3 or 4 of them. Till today, nobody can categorically say what those projects cost.
Yeah.
So what you have is state resources are generated, people are massively taxed. Lagos is one of the most highly taxed states in Nigeria. But you can't give account for how those monies were deployed. It's very difficult for me as a proponent of public accountability and transparency to give praise. So
the books
projects
are not...
They're not open. So Lagos, for example, is supposed to be a part of the Open Governance Initiative, where the public accounts of the state should be available publicly. I should be able to go to a website, pick it up, and pick up information about any project and how much it costs. It's just not there. I've done this by myself. There are audited accounts for Lagos State, but the information you find there, you just realize that this can't be correct, because the figures are simply too paltry, for the projects that they're talking about. So for me, I think there's a lot to be done in terms of public accountability from Lagos State in particular, because they're generating so much money. Lagos State does not require their FAC allocations to run. They don't. The FAC allocations are just a small fraction of their total revenue, as a state, and it's not good enough for me that we simply don't know where that money goes. All
right, public accountability is what you're hammering on, Sheikh Nshukwuchi. I'm going to bring in Dr. Omoshola into all of this. I'm going to go back, way back, not too way back. The previous administration, before Babajide Sanwo-Olu came in, we had the former governor, Akinwumi Ambode. There's been a lot of talk about, there was discrepancies on why he did not come back for the second term and all of that. Now, looking at the 4 years of Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Akinwumi Ambode as a governor, how would you look at their trademarks between those two governors? Even though they were flying under the APC, would you say that there's been much achievements under Sanwo-Olu administration compared to Akinwumi Ambode?
Well, sincerely, I would score Akinwumi Ambode higher than Babajide Sanwo-Olu, because if you are to lean on political patronage, it reduces your performance. So Ambode's resistance to the dictates of the Godfather, which cost him the second term ticket. Now, the implication of that on his government is more performance. But we have a governor in Lagos State today that the fear of being affected by what he benefited from makes him vulnerable to the political dictates of his political godfather, now the president of Nigeria, and other party stakeholders, the big wigs of the party, and that has significantly affected his performance, because the fear of not coming back for the second term. Nonetheless, I would give him a pass mark in terms of being able to successfully ban Okada in the major areas of Lagos State. That has brought a lot of sanity on our roads, and that would also reduce the number of people that find themselves at orthopedic for one accident or the other. But that achievement does not require much financial resources to achieve, So I will give him a pass mark. But in terms of infrastructure, for example, I see, maybe it's for campaign purpose, but I see this unnecessarily kind of like slow project that brings monumental pain to the citizens. For example, now this government has been constructing Ojuelegba to Yaba Road, Ojuelegba to Yaba, front of psychiatric hospitals for years now. There's always traffic on that axis. People are suffering every day, and the project just goes on and on and on and on and on. And at the end of the day, you imagine, what are these people doing? Why is this thing so slow? So the convenience on the part of the people that you want to deliver the project to is absolutely missing, because if you have, let's say somebody has an heart attack, or maybe there's a pregnant woman in that traffic, the risk of that person dying is high. So this is one of the things that I can fault the Babajide Sanwo-Olu government for. Then I don't like a situation whereby you have a kind of like two-faced governor. Now, what do I mean by that? His conduct during the NSAS protest leaves much to be desired. You have a governor that, from the outlook, it looks calm, it looks concerned, but if you look beyond the surface, you begin to question some of his actions. What happened in Lagos State during the NSAS protest, to me, it's very saddening that he could be allegedly involved in that kind of operation, because I don't want to believe that he's not involved. No, I don't believe that.
I think during the campaigns, they actually even addressed it. He said, what he was asked, and he said there are certain powers that are beyond, the control of the governor. I mean, even if you look at it constitutionally, the governor of a state might not be able to control the military.
That's one of the
cannot control the military.
That's one of the problems with Nigerian leaders.
Okay.
When there are successes, they are quick to kind of like get the praise, but when there are failures, they are quick to push it to one person or the other. It's either one aid or I don't have command of the military. I can't do this. I can't do that. But when there are something, when anything goes right, they want to earn the praise, and that for me, it's a no.
All right, we'll get back to Lagos State, but I want us to move to another state where I would say, in terms of internally generated revenue, it seems to be overlooked. And at some point, I think as at between 2020 and 2021, in terms of internally generated revenue, it spiked up to over, 100, almost 100%. Talking about in 2020, they had about 50 billion naira as internally generated revenue. And in 2021, they had over 100 billion naira when it comes to internally generated, and that's Ogun State. The governor of Ogun State he was sworn in for a second time today. And if you visited Ogun State in recent times, in terms of infrastructure, you might want to say there's so much, or there's quite a number of things that should be done. How would you rate? I'm coming to you now, Mr. Segun. You talked about accountability, judicious use of funds. How would you rate development in Ogun State compared to what they generate internally?
Well, Ogun State also happens to be my state. In fact, the governor is from my hometown.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Your namesake, and so I know a bit.
Okay.
And honestly, it's not pretty. When you look at what his predecessor did, right, as just a periodic visitor to Ogun State, I go to Abeokuta quite a bit. I go to Shagamu a bit, and all of that, and I see what's happening. And I can tell you that whatever we see today in Ogun State is largely due to the work that Amosu did. Amosu transformed the face of Ogun State in terms of roads and road networks. Dapo Abiodun has done his bit as well. I'm not saying he hasn't done anything. For example, he's been focusing a lot on the airport, the cargo airport that I think it's Shagamu or Elisha, somewhere, not too far from my hometown, not far from his hometown as well. And that project is ongoing. But, that project has started before him. It's still not finished. And you have to ask why. There's a network of pedestrian bridges in Abeokuta, beautiful network of bridges. And, the first time I saw them, I thought, oh, this is a beautiful idea because in terms of capacity, they looked way in excess of what was required at the time. Nothing new has come on board since then. So you see a smattering of projects here and there, expansion of roads here and there in Abeokuta, in Ijebu-Ode, in some other cities. But it's a bit of it's tokenistic in my view, compared to, like you say, the resources that they've generated, because they've taken a leave from Lagos State to ramp up their tax generating capacity. They use tax consultants. I have some friends that they call them TAMAs, tax management agents, who they use to generate, to pursue corporate organizations and individuals to make them pay more taxes and all that. Again, you have to ask the question, where's the money going? And we were having a conversation off air, during the interval. Ogun State is strategically located right beside Lagos State. Lagos State, by a beautiful accident, is the center of commercial activity in Nigeria. All of, we have our seaports, the most active seaports are here. The corporate headquarters of most organizations in Nigeria reside in Lagos. Lagos State accounts for 60% of the economic activity in Nigeria. This is statistical fact. Lagos State has 20 million people living there. There is a clear population density problem in Lagos. So there is a spillover into neighboring Ogun State communities. Those communities have not been deliberately optimized to take advantage of these synergies that should be happening. Lagos State has a blue rail, for example, which, by the way, is another thing that we didn't talk about. It's been on for 15 years and still has not finished. There was a razzmatazz of a launching in January because it was political season. It's still not running. Lagosians, remember that, because I said it then that this is politics and these trains are not ready. They're still not running. But back to the point. There should be some sort of a conversation between Ogun State and Lagos State to extend those trains. For example, to Songwater, and then maybe to Ifo, and then maybe to Shagamu, such that it becomes easy for people to commute, to live in Lagos, or to work in Lagos, and live in Ogun State, and take advantage of perhaps maybe the lower rents that you have there and all of that. You don't see any form of coherent cooperation between Lagos State and Ogun State. And in my view, the people that should be driving that conversation and trying to create that synergy must be Ogun State, because they're the ones that stand to benefit. Somebody was also saying earlier, Ogun State has land much more than Lagos. Lagos State has a population density, the population per square kilometer is crazy. Ogun State has land, should be able to feed Lagos. We don't see any of that happening, and it just calls to question, what exactly do these guys discuss? I have friends in Ogun State government, so if they're watching me, sorry, but we have to say the truth.
I wonder if Dr. Moshola has something different concerning this issue. I mean, Lagos State and Ogun State, they're quite closely related. We've said a whole lot of things about the internally generated revenue for Ogun State, and yet we're not seeing so much development there. What do you think are some of the issues affecting Ogun State?
Well, one major issue affecting Ogun State is the political feud between former Governor Ibikunle Amosun and the incumbent governor, Dapo Abiodun. Now, we've seen a situation in Ogun State whereby the incumbent governor, his actions, his doings, is being determined by, okay, how well it will affect the former governor. If it's going to give the former governor like praise, if it's going to put him in the eye of the public as a good man, it's a no. Based on that political field, rather than for him to make some strategic decisions, because for this second time, what I want to see from the department is strategic decisions in terms of governance. For example, the airport. The airport will be what we call, what our people call one-way traffic, for example. Now, that airport, Lagos is close to Ogun State. Rather than build an airport that only a tiny fraction of the citizens can use, not many of Ogun State people can afford to, say, they want to kind of like buy tickets. So the airport will not be a multi-purpose, and it will serve majority of the citizens of the state, only the elite and maybe some private investors and all that. Now, why not have a speed train that will bring agricultural produce, link it to Lagos, and it can go to anywhere in the world from there? People can also use that train route for transportation, for business. So in other words, you don't need so much to be able to move your goods as a private citizen, as a medium-scale entrepreneur, from Ogun State to anywhere you want to move it to. So the airport, for me, it's a good project, but it is not a strategic one in the true sense of it. And the Abiodun needs to stop the blame game, in the sense that he blamed that.
All right.
We
of course, I need to come in there. We need to, of course, go on a quick break. When we return, of course, so many things to talk about. Stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us on this special broadcast celebrating inauguration of the new president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And right now we're going to be bringing you live feeds at the Eagle Square in Abuja, where the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is speaking.
Of various countries, they are present. From our head of state, a great man, committed and highly honest to the development of this country, General Yakub Gowon. My dear wife, the new First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu. Your Excellency, Vice President Kasim Shettima, and his wife, Nana Shettima. Senate President, distinguished Senators Ahmed Lawan, House of Representatives Speaker, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, and his wife, Salamat. The Chief Justice of the Federation, Olukayode Ariwola, Your Excellencies, Governors, here present, the chairman of our party, APC, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, former APC interim chairman, Chief BC Akonde, and my brother, Uncle, Chief Chegun Osoba. Distinguished senators and honorable members of the House of Representatives, honorable ministers and members of the just dissolved National Executive, members of diplomatic corps, the royal fathers, men of the armed forces, I salute you for your sacrifices and the supreme sacrifices you've made for this country, for the men and women. We thank you. And we thank you the way today is going well. Gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my fellow citizens, I stand before you honored to assume the sacred mandate you have given me. My love for this nation is abiding, my confidence in its people, unwavering, and my faith in God Almighty is absolute. I know that His hand shall provide the needed moral strength and clarity of thought in those instances where even seem have reached the limit of human capacity. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this day is bold and majestic, yet bright and full of spirit, as is our precious nation. us now as our slaves is whether to remain faithful to the work inherent in the building of a better society, or retreat into the shadow of our unmet potential. For me, there is no one too great. We are too great a nation and too grounded as a people to rob ourselves of our finest destiny. The nation's journey has been shaped by the prayers of our founding fathers and other millions, and the collective sacrifices of us all. We have endured the hardship that would have made other societies crumble. We have shouldered the heavy burden to arrive at this sublime moment where the prospect of a better future matches with our improved capacity to create that future.
In both
The peaceful transition
word and deed.
from one government to another
The peaceful transition
now is our political
from one
tradition.
government to another
This and
now is our political
symbolizes
tradition.
our trust in God,
This handover
our enduring
symbolizes
faith
our trust,
in representative
in God,
governance,
our enduring faith.
Now is our political tradition. This handover symbolizes our trust in God, our enduring faith in representative governance, and our belief in our ability to reshape this nation into a society it was always meant to be. My brothers and sisters, permit me to say a few words to my predecessor, President Muhammadu Buhari. Mr. President, Omar. You have been an honest, patriotic leader who has done his best for the nation you love. On a more personal note, you are a worthy partner and a friend, and may history be kind to you. For many years, Nigeria's critics have trafficked that the rumor that our nation will break up, even perish. They have even redesigned the map. Yet we are here. We have stumbled at times, but resilience and diversity have kept us going, and we will keep going. Our body may make us bend at times, but it shall never break us. In Instead, stand forth as Africa's most populous nation and as the best, hope, and strongest champion of the black race. As a citizen, we declare as one unified people, devoted to one unified nation, national cause, that as long as this world exists, Nigeria shall exist. Take me back to the old man's impact, General Yakubu Gowon. Create if Nigeria won the task that must be done. If you are young or old, you will remember. Today, faith and destiny join together to place the touch of human progress in our very hand. We dare not let it slip. We live high this touch so that it might shine on every household and in every heart that calls itself Nigeria. We hold the beam aloft because it lights our path with compassion, brotherhood, and peace. May this great light never extend. Say amen. Our administration will govern you only on your behalf, but never rule over you. We shall consult and dialogue, but never dictate. We shall reach out to all, but never put down a single person for holding view contrary to our own. We are here to further mend and heal this nation, not tear and injure it. In this way, there are a few comments regarding the election that brought us here today to this jump. Yes, it was a hard-fought contest and was also fairly won. Since the advent of the Fourth Republic, Nigeria has not had an election of a better quality. I said so. The outcome reflected the will of the people. However, the victory does not render me any more Nigerian than my opponent. Nor does this render them any less patriotic. They shall forever be my fellow compatriots, and I will treat them as such. They represent important constituencies and concerns that wisdom dare not ignore. Some have taken their demands to court, seeking legal redress. That is their right, and I fully defend that exercise of this right. This is the essence of the rule of law. Over decades ago, our founding fathers bravely gave us this country to place Nigeria on the map of an independent nation. We must never allow the labor of those who came before us to wither in vain, but to blossom and bring forth a better reality. Let us take the next great step. The journey they began and believed in. Today, let us commit our steps to placing Nigeria in our hearts as the indispensable home for each and every one of us, regardless of creed, ethnicity, or place of birth. To my supporters, I thank you. So who did vote for me, I thank you as well. I extend my hand across the political divide. I ask you to grasp the national affinity and brotherhood. For me, political polarization has faded away. All I see here are Nigerians. All of you. And we uphold this meeting, an excellent notion as a new Nigeria idea. My fellow citizens, Nigeria idea, which I speak of, is more than just an improvement in economic and statistics. These things are important, but they can never confirm the fullness of our story. Our mission is to improve our ways of life in a manner that nurtures our humanity, encourages compassion towards one another, and duly reward our collective effort to social evil that seek to divide us. Our Constitution gives us a nation on paper. We must work hard at bringing these noble documents to life by strengthening the bond of economic collaboration, social cohesion, and cultural understanding. Let us develop a shared sense of fairness and equality. That must not only seek good for itself, but must understand that interests are served where to the north. North must not see the south likewise. Whether from the winding creeks of Niger Delta, the fastness of northern Savannah, the boardroom of Lagos, the building bustling capital of Abuja as easy market of Onitsha. We are all the people. As your president, I shall serve you with prejudice towards none, but compassion and amity towards all. In the coming days and weeks, my team will publicly detail the key aspects of our economic program. Today, permit me to outline in broad terms a few initiatives that divide our concept of progressive good governance and furtherance of the Nigerian idea. The principles that will guide our administration are very simple. Nigeria will be impartially governed according to the rule of law, Constitution. We shall defend the nation from terror and all form of criminality that threatens the peace and stability of our country. We shall remodel our economy to bring our growth and develop the GDP much better, achieve the GDP much better than we have today. I assure you. Do that through job creation, food security, and an end to extreme poverty. In our administration, women and youth will feature prominently. Our government will continue to take proactive steps such as championing a credit culture to discourage corruption while strengthening the effectiveness and efficiency of the various anti-corruption agencies. That's to be a continued work in progress. Security shall be top priority of our administration because men can prevail amid insecurity and violence. To effectively tackle this, we shall reform both our security doctrine and its architecture. We shall invest more in our security personnel, and it means more than an increase in number. We shall provide better training, equipment, pay, and fire. On the economy, we target a GDP not less than 6% growth. We aim to accomplish all of this by taking the following steps. Budgetary reform, stimulating the economy without engendering inflation. Industrial policy to utilize the full range of domestic manufacturing and lessen import dependency. The electricity will become more accessible and affordable to businesses and homes alike. Our generation should barely double, and transmission and distribution network must improve significantly. We will encourage various state governments to continue to participate in this effort, power generation and distribution of their own. I have a message for our investors, local and foreign. Our government shall review all the complaints about multiple taxation. And review various anti-investment inhibitions. We shall ensure that investors and foreign businesses repatriate their hard-earned dividends and profits owed. My administration must create meaningful opportunities for our youth. We shall honor our campaign commitment of 1 million jobs in the digital economy. Our government also shall work with the National Assembly to fashion an omnibus job and prosperity bill. This will give our administration the policy space to embark on labor-intensive infrastructural development, improvement, and foreign life industry, provide improved social services for the poor, elderly, and vulnerable. On agriculture, rural income shall be secured by Commodity Exchange Board, guaranteeing minimum prices for certain crops. Animal product, a nationwide program for the storage and facilities to reduce spoilage and waste. All of that will be undertaken. Agricultural hubs will be created throughout the nation to increase production and engage in credit, promote credit, engage in value-added processing. The livestock will introduce the best modern practices and steps taken to minimize the perennial conflict. Through this, food will be made more abundant, yet less costly. Farmers shall earn more while the average Nigerians stay less. On infrastructure, we shall continue the effort of the Buhari administration on infrastructure development there, and know how many railroad and water infrastructure are. On fuel subsidy, unfortunately, the budget that I've glimpsed before I assumed office and what I've heard is that no provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone. Subsidy can no longer justify its ever increasing cost and the wake of dry resources. We shall instead the channel whatever to fund to better investment and public infrastructure, education, healthcare, and jobs that will materially improve lives for our people. Monetary policy, thorough house cleaning, thorough house cleaning is necessary. The central bank must work towards a unified exchange rate. This will direct the fund from arbitrage to minimal investment and the plant and equipment, jobs that are powered, that will power the real economy. Interest rate needs to come down. Currently too high. Anti-people, anti-business. We have to work on all of them. To me, I know I've taken you through a winding time, a long time today. I will end this speech by assuring that the mandate they have given me is not misplaced. The confidence is there. Hope is back for Nigeria. Just let us be united. Thank you. God bless Nigeria. God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Your Excellencies, most distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the inaugural address by the new President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, President Bola Tinubu, Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic. Please may we put our hands together once more for His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal
Excellence, invités distingués, mesdames et messieurs, vous venez d'entendre l'allocution présidentielle de son Excellence, le Président de la République fédérale du Nigeria et commandant en chef des forces armées du Nigeria, son Excellence, Président Bola Ahmed Tinubu, TCRF. Merci, Excellence, et félicitations.
Thank you
to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They're giving his inaugural speech there, and he has touched on almost every aspect of life that Nigerians would like to listen and like to hear, or that concern Nigeria and Nigerians. And some of the things he touched and talked about.
Have the inaugural speech by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, TCFR, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. They're giving his very first speech outlining all of his plans and his projections, and of course what his agenda will be for the next 4 years across all sectors.
Mesdames et messieurs, et pas possibilité de chanter devant ce qu'on appelle tous les commandes. Ça, c'est à l'honneur du président élu, le président Bola Ahmed Tinubu. C'est juste une question. Maximum, il n'y a pas possibilité. May I request you remain standing to sing the national anthem. Thank you.
And of course, there you have it, live feed there from the Eagle Square, Nigeria's capital, Abuja. And the new president, President Bola Tinubu, just gave his inauguration speech. He actually touched on quite a number of issues. Of course, if you just permit me to highlight a few things he said, he touched on the GDP, saying that hopefully in his administration, it will rev up to about 6% from what it currently is. He also talked on multiple taxation, that his administration will tackle that. He said electricity will become accessible and affordable. He also said anti-investment policies will be looked into. And the big one fuel subsidy, which of course became at some point our header, he said it's gone. So Nigerians should wake up to that reality. And then he also talked about unifying the exchange rate, amongst other issues. But one thing he said in his speech is political coloration has faded away. All I see here are Nigerians.
And that's a sound note of unity, trying to unify Nigerians. A lot of people have spoken about this. Can he do that? He also talked about the fact that his governance will be centered on the rule of law. We're in a situation where, despite the fact that inauguration has come and gone, we still have lots of dispute. He welcomed it. He said, you know, there's no issue. It's their right. They can actually seek redress if they have issues with the election. So will this happen? Will the rule of law actually prevail on all of this? But the president has said it, that his governance will be on the rule of law. So if you're watching us all over the world, this is a very important situation, event, historic mark in Nigeria, as Nigeria has elected the 16th president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
And of course,
we still have it us. Let's not go too far because our guests are still here now. They've been saying a whole lot of things about what Bola Ahmed Tinubu said. We still have Dr. Omoshola Deji. He's a political scientist, and also Segun Sokwito. He's also a public affairs analyst. And, you know, Segun Sokwito also has a lot of advantage in the economies. And when he said fuel subsidy is gone, you said a whole lot of things saying it's not possible. But Bola Ahmed Tinubu said there's no provision for it in the budget. So there's nothing like, yes, so he'll ride on it and there'll be no fuel subsidy. But what are your thoughts on that?
My prediction is that in the next month or thereabouts, is going to send a supplementary bill to the National Assembly. And put it back there. Yes, I mean, he doesn't have a choice. You know, I've spoken about this extensively on all public platforms that I have access to. You cannot remove fuel subsidies now. You will create social disorder, social instability, because petrol in particular is central to the lives of every Nigerian. Forget that mantra of fuel subsidy is for the rich. No, it's not for the rich, it's for all Nigerians, because every Nigerian uses fuel in one way or the other, whether it's for your transportation, for the buses you take, for your generator, or for your car. You know, so if you, now, if the quantum of subsidy, the price differential would have been maybe 50% or 100% increase, then you'll say, whoa, yeah, by all means. But the oil marketers have told us that if subsidy goes, they are going to be sourcing dollars from the parallel markets. If that happens, that fuel price at the pump will be anywhere between 700 to 800 naira. Currently, as we speak, the highest you can get it in Lagos, you buy is about 220 in the independent marketer filling station. So you are saying you want to move from 220 to 800. That is a 400% increase. It's impossible.
Now, still talking about this economy, you know, in the latest stages of Buhari's administration, we had the inauguration of the Dangote refinery. We're talking about fuel subsidy and all of that. What advantage, what impact are we likely to see with all of this? So
look, at the end of the day, this administration, they don't have a choice. They will have to wait for that refinery to kick in. They would have to wait for the capacity utilization, because it's not going to go to 100% on the first day. So they will have to, they will have to wait for capacity to be maximized. Maybe they're producing at about 60 to 80% that can supply at least a significant chunk of our consumption needs instead of us importing it. Then the subsidy will go and fuel prices will move to about 400 naira or thereabouts. Fuel prices are going to go up. We have to come to terms with that. But they can't take subsidies out now, because if they do, they will create crisis. Look, the labor movement has already thrown the gauntlet down. If you remove subsidies, we're going to grind Nigeria to a halt, and it will happen. You know, so for a president who came into power, look, the Tinubu, as a man, President Tinubu must remember that he's not in Lagos anymore. This is Abuja, and he's running Nigeria as a country. For a president who came into power with 8.7 million votes out of 24 million votes cast, that is just barely above 35% of the people that voted that said, yes, we want you. You can't implement policies that will aggravate the economic situation in the country and further impoverish people that are already downtrodden and poor. 133 million living in multi-dimensional poverty according to the government agency. You can't. So if he tries that, all of the legitimacy issues he has will rear their head in the ugliest way possible. The opposition, the people from the other parties will take full advantage of this and grind the country to a halt. So, he will be best advised. I'm sure he has people who are... So this is just grandstanding. Typically, politicians know the game. So he will say this so that he creates the ground, the foundations for negotiation. That's where I think we're going. Then, we'll come back to something.
I want to move to Dr. Mashola. I mean, do you also share in this line of thought? And, I mean, looking at an array of things the president said, we know that of the fuel subsidy, based on what he has said, is one of the things that will hit the ground running. What are that, core issues do you think, as early as yesterday, the new president should start, tackling head on?
Well, I would have loved if we spoke about the issue of security in the country and how he will address it. As regards his plan for the country, he was largely answering the what question, what he's going to do. And I'm more interested in the how question, in terms of how he is going to achieve that. If he says he's going to address multiple tasks for a government that has revenue crisis, now how do you intend to address that in such a way that you have money to spend? Because we right now in Nigeria are operating a government of tax and borrow. You tax and you go and borrow. You tax and you go and borrow. So if you are not going to address the multiple taxation, and now how do you cushion the effect in terms of the revenue of the country itself? Then a whole lot of other things that he said in terms of recruitment of personnel into the armed forces and all
investment.
That, and investment. How do you intend to kind of like achieve that without addressing the issue of revenue? So I would have been interested if you had addressed the issue of security, talking about the state police. But the problem is with Nigerian politicians is they want state police when they are in the opposition, when they are not able to kind of like express some powers, when there are limitations to their power as regards commanding the armed forces. Now, President Tinubu, being a power-oriented politician, will be very reluctant to establish state police, something that he has been clamoring for. And the establishing state police will go a long way to address the insecurity in Nigeria, because right now the federal police is overburdened. So these are what I think issues that then I would have been interested in him addressing the issue of restructuring. Nigeria has hundreds of natural resources, but we focus largely on oil. I want to see a president that would be interested in divulging power to the state, making the state to utilize their resources so we don't have, pardon my word, unintelligent governors. Because what we have now is easy for any ragtag to be a good governor in Nigeria, because you just go there for free money. But if there is no free money, you have to utilize the resources in your state to pay salaries, to provide the infrastructure. You will think twice before contesting, because you know that you need to find the money to pay these salaries. So if he had talked about restructuring, state police, those are crucial issues. Then the issue of debt, right, which he has refused to touch on. We are using majority of our revenue today to service debt. So how do you intend to survive as a government? Because the Buhari administration has set traps for this government to fail, as if he is handing over to an opposition government. So how he intends to escape that, he didn't touch about that at all. And if you permit me to add, you starting off with something as sensitive as petrol subsidy is a wrong start for your government, because we know that the price of petroleum affects virtually everything. When he removes petroleum subsidy, even the price of something as simple as biscuits will go up. So for citizens that are already impoverished, that are overburdened, one of the direct benefits that citizens have today is being able to buy that petrol, affordably to power their better personal neighbor, and everything. But that now coming on board saying you are going to remove it and just saying it that it's gone, just like that, I think is insensitive, and he could have, he and his handlers could have done that.
Dr. Mashola, I mean, so much to talk about, but at this time we need to draw the curtains on this particular special edition. I mean, there's so much to look forward to, and today has actually been pregnant. Congratulations, Nigeria, a new political dawn. The Tinubu administration has officially started. So
yes.
I know
so
it's usually the first 100 days.
I mean, a lot of people were waiting for this inaugural speech. So now that we've heard it, it's more like you're kicking the round running. What exactly is next on its agenda? Exactly. We'll definitely wait. Nigerians out there, big congratulations to all out there. We have a new president. We wait and see to see how Bola Tinubu will actually go. Meanwhile, we still have the court concessions all running. He has said that he will rule impartially by the rule of law. Let's wait and see. Thank you so much for joining us on this special broadcast. I am Rita Omodia.
And I'm Dakwa Adeboye. Stay, of course, with News Central.